Alright, so for my PK assignment, I did ghost marriages, mostly because it was something that was very intriguing to me because I didn't even know they existed. So I chose this topic so I can figure out all the ins and outs of ghost marriages, and here we go. So, ghost marriages, they are a Chinese tradition set up by the family member or members of the deceased, depending on if one party is dead, or if both sides are dead, the families will get together and plan this wedding, or just one side of the family will get together and help plan the wedding. This is not just a Chinese tradition, they also practice it in Sudan, India, France, and Romania. Those are the ones I could find. I also saw Haiti was one of the countries that also practices this. And in Romania, marriage is deemed as one of the three main stages of the life, so it's very important. So in China, if the bride's fiance dies, the bride can still marry him, but she must remain loyal to him, and usually they move in with the family. She's allowed to adopt a son to carry out her husband's lineage, and a white chicken will represent the husband in the wedding ceremony. So during the wedding, there will be a white chicken instead of the groom. In Romania, marriage is one of the three aspects of life, and it's also the most important. The deceased person is dressed for the wedding, whether it's a tux or a dress, and there's no vow of celibacy, so women are allowed to marry again. The families don't really bond. It's more for the deceased person to be able to go into the afterlife married. The darker side of this in China is there are actually murders and people who will raid tombs just for these bodies, and there is such a high demand for them. They go up to auction for up to $15,000. It's not like a highest bidder auction. It's more just there's a market for it. So um, they are actually illegal to raid a tomb, and it didn't happen until 2006, which was a lot later than I would think it would be deemed as legal. But people will be up to murder just to be a ghost bride so they can sell families, which is very sad. Taiwan, if the unmarried woman passes away, the family will set out money and gifts and stuff, and whoever finds it, whatever man, is deemed to be the chosen one by fate, and they can marry another wife, but the ghost wife must be seen as the primary wife to that man. Next, ghost marriage legends. Um, it is respected that if a person dies, they should be able to go into the afterlife with someone. So that ghost marriage will happen so the person that died will be able to live on their life happily with a ghost husband. Women's afterlife, women cannot be given a proper funeral or the spiritual tablet from the husband's family, unless, obviously, unless they have a husband. So if an unmarried woman dies, the family, it's a little bit rushed to get them a wedding so they can go into the afterlife properly. French ghost weddings became popular after World War I. They are recognized by the government. They have to be approved. But people's fiancés would die during war and they still want to get married, so they were allowed to carry out those weddings. And believe it or not, they still do happen today, but they do have to be approved by the French government. So in Sudan, if the groom dies, the groom's brother can stand in, but the deceased groom will still be considered the true husband. Now, if any children are conceived by the dead groom's brother and the wife, they are still deemed as the dead groom's children, not the brothers. So planning these are a little bit interesting. The family of the deceased member can go out to like a matchmaking service. There are many of them, and kind of tell the matchmaking service what they're looking for, and they will find a ghost spouse for their client, which is interesting. Or fate can decide, like normal. Dowries, it just depends on the culture and how much money they have. Obviously, in Taiwan, the red money packets were popular, but they can deem from cakes to gold jewelry to elaborate clothing. And then if it's a very wealthy family, they can provide a house for the bride to live in. Ghost marriage ceremonies, usually the deceased member is made from bamboo, paper, or cloth, as well as household items are made from that. And at the end of the ceremony, they burn everything, and that's kind of their way of sending it into the afterlife. They are still treated like they're alive, though, during the festivities. So I was, like I said, I never heard of this, and I wanted to see like America's exposure slash stance on this. And ghost marriages are in popular TV shows like Bones and Blacklist, but it's kind of the darker side of like the corpse smuggling and the murder that happens to satisfy these ghost marriages demands. So, on a lighter note, I want to wrap this up. An Irish woman hired a spiritual medium to be able to say I do to a 300-year-old Haitian pirate spirit. She wanted to get married on international waters so it could be deemed legal, even though the UK and the Irish territories said you have to submit a marriage notice. Um, so she falsely claimed they were legally married in 2018, which is obviously not true because they were not. They met while she was a Jack Sparrow impersonator, and less than a year later, she has decided to divorce her 300-year-old ghost husband that was never really her husband. So that is the end of my PK assignment on ghost marriages, and thank you for watching.